Hey guys, Stella Williams here, and today I will be reading an excerpt from Chaste Blood by Brittni Chenelle. And this is another vampire novel that is featured in the Eternal Bites limited edition collection of vampire stories. So stay tuned for a bloody good excerpt reading. Chaste Blood, Chapter 1, Maddox. I jolted awake with the sharp white pain of steel plunged into my chest. Nova's long, jet-black hair did little to hide the tears that fell down her cheeks. Her arms shook, driving the dagger deeper as sobs shook her body. The urge to cry out in pain, to wrestle the blade out of me and end the agonizing ache was outweighed by my desire to watch her, the desire to understand. "I'm sorry," she said, sobbing, but her grip never weakened. Moonlight poured through my window, haloing her head and glinting off the top of the hilt as she held it firmly in place. "Why? Why are you doing this?" I wanted to ask, but the blade had pierced my lung. Am I dying? My immortality fought to regrow the flesh around the wound, but the blade halted the regeneration. My thoughts moved to the night before, when Nova's body shook beneath my fingertips as she tightened to orgasm. I remembered how she sighed and kissed me, only to work herself up for another round. My thoughts raced through every second we'd spent together, desperate to find the moment that led her to this. I had known she was special the first time we met. Herod had presented another batch of tributes, and my eyes went straight to Nova. The same blue eyes that now willed my life to end had lit when she first saw me, as if taken by surprise, just as they did now as she tightened her grip. Nova lifted the dagger from my chest and plunged it in again, this time cutting into my heart. I coughed, racked with pain as my immortality started to mend the first wound. The adjustment was considerably more painful, but my lung was free. "Why?" I whispered. She clamped her eyes shut, unrelenting. My heart writhed and each beat shredded the muscle against the blade. "You look so beautiful when you cry." I wanted to reach out and wipe her tears, to tell her not to hurt, but I was frozen, confused, and in pain. Then I understood this nightmare. I am a fool. I closed my eyes as laughter began to rise through the pain. I defended my actions to Ronan, assuring him that Nova was not my mate and that she meant nothing to me, while in reality, I was sure I was falling for her. Then last night, Nova whispered those three forbidden words, and they filled me with so much warmth that I was prepared to accept the consequences, prepared to lose everything, my throne, my immortality, my life, just as my parents had, all for the one thing immortals can't have. I suppressed my laughter, pressing my lips together to hold back my smile. The pain made me delirious, but my thoughts and memories were crystal clear. I planned to stop accepting tributes from the other courts, a move that would publicly declare that I was in love and therefore mortal. How long would we have before the moon and arrow courts attacked? Or would it be the greedy gaze of my own people that led to my early end? I thought any measure of time where I could give myself fully to Nova would have sufficed, and that the swell of release when I said those words aloud was worth letting the immortal world burn. But I could never have guessed that the girl who had stolen my heart might be the most eager to stop it from beating. Everything we had was a lie, a ploy to make me fall in love so that my immortality would break and she could take my life. Laughter burst through my lips. The malice radiating through her blue eyes gave way to fear. I wasn't sure who sent her, or if she'd made the plan on her own, but it didn't matter. She was the only one in the world I trusted, and she was a liar. I wasn't sure what was funnier, that she never loved me, or that I had thought I loved her. My immortality was strong and intact, a sure indication that I'd only felt a shadow of the real thing. As she watched me regain my strength, I realized how wrong I had been. Her chest rose and fell so quickly that I could almost taste her fear. I grinned at her, pushing her deeper into despair. She pulled the dagger from my chest. "Mad," she breathed. "I'm sorry." I could see the war raging behind her eyes. I could see the dots connecting as she swallowed her failure, one breath at a time. I leaned in and put my forehead to hers. "It seems that neither of us are capable of love. I do love you. We're beyond that game now, aren't we?" Her sobs grew heavy. "Please," she begged, "make me immortal, and I'll faithfully serve you forever. I promise, Mad." "I don't believe you," I growled, my words dripping with malicious intent. She grabbed my jaw, kissing me fiercely and smearing tears onto my face. I allowed it, waiting for whatever I'd felt to come rushing to the surface. But whatever that feeling was, she'd struck it dead with that dagger. Feeling my indifference, she pulled away. "Please let me prove it. Tell me what I have to do. I'll do anything you want. I'll be anything you want me to be." I lifted the dagger from my bed, handing it back to her. "I need you to be proof that the Blood King has no heart." "What?" "Stab yourself with this to prove your allegiance, and before you die, I'll make you immortal." She swiped at her tears with her free hand. "How can I trust you?" "You can't, just as I can't trust you." She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, but her gaze was glued on the dagger as she considered her options. "Are you going to save me?" she asked. I brushed her cheek with my thumb and smiled softly. "We'll see. And if I don't do it, we'll see." She lifted the dagger, her shaking hands fragmenting moonlight off the blade and splashing it across the room. She lifted her chin and her blue eyes bored into mine. "Maddox," she whispered, "don't forget me." I swallowed a lump in my throat, and with a sudden jerk of her hand, she plunged the dagger into her chest. Her eyes widened. She held my gaze until hers began to droop. I looked within myself for a memory, a feeling strong enough to push me to lean forward and bite her throat. A touch of venom was all it would take, but I felt nothing, not even as her life blood spilled out of who I thought was my only ally and onto my sheets. "Please," she said, surprising me. "I love you." A tinge of something stirred then. Like a wave, it engulfed me, overrunning my thoughts and pushing my body into action. I lunged forward, sinking my fangs into her neck. She wrapped a limp arm around me and whispered, "Thank you," through gasps, but it was not love that I felt in that moment. It was hatred. Instead of pushing the venom through my fangs, I sucked, drawing away her life before she knew she was going to die. Her corpse lay still in my bed, and if I ignored the potent smell of blood on my sheets, she looked like she was just sleeping. Death was a mercy I regretted granting her, and I had to look away to stop myself from mutilating what was left. Ronan might grow suspicious. I wasn't fit to lead the blood court to absolute dominance, not if I could be so easily fooled and manipulated. I pulled off my torn shirt, tossing it into the fire. The less evidence Ronan could gather, the better. I called for a maid, and they promptly cleared the body away, changing my sheets as they routinely did with the tributes I'd grown tired of. I sat on my windowsill and stared mindlessly at the full moon. I didn't care about Nova. My wounds had already healed, but as the anger began to wear off, sadness took its place. I was grateful for it. Only Nova could have taught to trust no one ever. For the first time, I understood what Ronan had fought to teach me all my life. That love was nothing but a weakness, designed to usurp immortal thrones. If I had been capable of feeling it, Nova would have succeeded in killing me. Whether she'd been my mate or not, I'd never know, and there was no use in dwelling on it. All that mattered was that I would never fall for it again, or so I thought. And that was an excerpt from Chaste Blood by Brittni Chenelle. And if you would like to read the rest of it, please follow Brittni Chenelle and pick up your copy of Eternal Bites, a limited edition collection of vampire stories for just 99 cents on Apple iBooks and Kindle, Amazon Kindle. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, love, and happy reading.